Hey folks, Dude here. Still using the new microphone, the new ways of doing recording stuff, and hopefully it sounds quite a bit better. I know I got a little bit of hiss in the background, but hopefully this thing just sounds better. And maybe you might need to take the microphone a little closer to my face here, and hopefully not blow your doors off. But we're just going to go from there. Okay, if you guys didn't see the debate yesterday, well, you probably missed out on a pretty good show. But it was your standard thing of the Republican being very polite and the Democrat being your standard, shuck and jive. Oh, geez, you're just too stupid to figure out how things work in the real world, and I'll show you how things work in the real world, and I'm just going to laugh at your stupidity, and I'm going to be perfectly rude in the process. It didn't really play this time, okay? Um, you know what? I might be cursing during this video, okay? It's just all there is to it. I might be cursing. I just want to give you guys a heads up on that one, so that might be the case. But the long and the short is basically Ryan went in. He had a moderator that was stepping all over him. He had only about 1 minute talk time difference or so than Biden this time, so it kind of evened up better than the Romney and Barack Kaka. I refuse to call him his proper name. If you look at my Facebook page, I've been referring to him as Barack Kaka. He's Kaka, okay? He's Barack Kaka. I'm not going to call him by his given name because, well, he is what he is. And I might curse during this video, so if you guys have any kids present, grandmothers, anybody else that might be offended by some coarse language, you might wish to express them from the area of which they could be possibly exposed. Well, basically, let me see here. We have an obvious Tigger moment. Just give me 1 second here. Today I'm drinking some Sumatran. Tully's, I believe it is, but it does have a splash of cognac in there. Yes, I'm an adult and I can drink. I'm not driving. It's just enough for flavor, folks. I'm not getting hammered here. But give me 1 second. Oh, that is yummy. All right, well, I'm going roundy round. Basically, the way it worked was this. In the absolute bottom line, CNN polling shows Ryan is showing a 50% favorable, Biden showing 41% favorable. Likability, there's a 10% throw on that one. I can tell you just by, just looking at all my various sources and doing all my various research, and there's probably about like 10 different blogs I go to, forum boards I go to, and, it's really kind of like my way of doing information sourcing. And if you look at my Facebook page, it's loaded up. There's a reason why it's loaded up, because I look around the internet a little too much before I do my things that I got to do. And, well, I'm not really wasting time, but I'm staying very well informed. Now, here's the thing. We are seeing a societal evolution that the liberals cannot flipping get their heads around. What's really happening is basically you're seeing a paradigm taking place where before, if you look away in your classic readings or, your socialism and your communism and, your fascism and what have you, all those isms, bad juju, but all those isms, they basically state, be the controller of all the information sourcing. Squelch anybody that has differing opinions, remove those people that can supply differing opinions, and pretty much just throw them by the ethers and do not let them get in their fair share of statements. Do not let these guys talk about stuff that basically can make you look bad ever. Ruin them. Like Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals. That's the thing. It's like the Communist Manifesto. Remove those guys that basically can supply information that can hurt your party, or in the case you wish to ruin their reputation in such a way that they are no longer trusted as a source of information. Now, here's the thing. I'm also looking here on, this is Breitbart's channel on Facebook, page. I always mix those two terms up, but it's Breitbart's page on Facebook. I'm a very, very staunch subscriber to Breitbart. I love the man. I really, truly wish he could have lived longer. He did a hell of an amazing job, and he's really brought the hurt home to the liberals. Now, here's the other thing, too. Case in point, all this information that's now being disseminated on the internet, okay, when the internet first came out, it was pretty much the liberals owned it, okay? That's pretty much it. Me having more fun here. There's a Chris Rock picture. I'll see if I can't find it, but basically he was being rude. You know what? Let me draw the camera back just a skosh here. I got plenty of slack on my cable from my microphone, so I can make this work. Okay, basically he was, hey, you conservative, this, that, and the other thing, blah, 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 blah. You built that. Well, I kind of had fun with the picture. You know, it's a black background. It's easy to do these things in Microsoft Paint. Excuse me one second, let me rename my camera. And I basically played with it. You can see these things are very easy to modify and have fun with. And you know what? Chris Rock, you're a liberal shill. I mean, all these New York black guys, I don't know what the hell it is with them. Spike Jones, or Spike Lee, or whatever the hell his name, Spike Lee, Chris Rock, all kinds of, notable pukes that basically have to deal with the rap industry and dancers, and all these assholes are coming out of the ethers, and they're being very staunchly supportive of, obviously, Barack Kaka, because I see no other reason for it other than they're all saying, okay, we're black guys, have to look out for other black guys. Because if you think about it, the Democrat Party, okay, let's put this in perspective. And I know there's a lot of liberals that are going to be very cheesed off at this fact that comes back and is absolutely, it's a definable fact. It's very easy to confirm. I mean, that's about the only way you can say it. It's very easy to confirm. Martin Luther King was a Republican. He was not a Democrat. How the Democrat Party has ever been able to behold themselves upon the black community and make themselves known as that which will save them from the white guys, I really don't have a clue. I mean, Jim Crow was theirs. KKK Bird from West Virginia. He was one of those assholes that tried to hold back on every bit of racial equality laws that came down by the pike. He stepped on them. He tried to make sure it didn't happen. Al Gore's dad, Al Gore Sr., was formative in trying to block any kind of racial equality legislation. These are all Democrats. Why don't these guys catch on for a moment and go, you know what? This isn't good. Then you have stuff like Colonel West, a good conservative man who has basically been trod upon because he's an Uncle Tom, he's an Oreo, he's a this, he's a that. When you come down to it and you look at anything that liberals do, it has to be defined in four things. Is it racist? Is it bigoted? Is it sexist? Is it homophobe? That's their template for life. Four things. If you can't fit it in those four things, you find some kind of contrived way to make it fit. Now, here's the thing I got to tell you guys, and this is one of those really glaring and just absolutely in-your-face things that the liberals cannot counter right now. They are facing an information age that they cannot put the cork back in the bottle for. They are looking at so many people that are networking on Facebook now. So many people. Okay, let me put this in perspective. I was looking for a very specific picture where Barack Kaka was coming out of Marine One, that big-ass helicopter, holding an iPhone to his left ear as he was saluting the Marines coming down the steps. Now, I can tell you for a fact, if you tried anything like that, my drill instructor, pick a name, my drill instructor would promptly walk up and kick me square in the nuts. And he would say, oh, I'm sorry, Private, just bumped into you there. You don't want to do that. Trust me, that is some stuff that you never, ever do in any branch of the service. You show absolute, complete, and total respect when you are saluting another member of the service, no matter what their flippin' rank is. You do not ever do something like chew gum, smoke a cigarette, or look like something lame-ass when you're coming down the steps. And you can look for the picture. It's in my Facebook. It's right on my Facebook. You look at my timeline. I hate that damn thing. But you look at my timeline, it's going to be there. Now, here's the thing. This shows an illustrative amount of complete and total disrespect that Barack Kaka has for our active military. Now, Joe Biden yesterday, at every mention of anything that meant anything to anybody, he pretty much was shucking and jiving and laughing and carrying on, and it was so much fun, and it was all so hilarious that, this stupid Republican just doesn't get it. Biden, I got bad news for you, brother. You didn't get it. As a matter of fact, I've been reading just through, the ethers, looking at various places I'm going to. Like a librarian on one of the forum boards I go to. The guy's a librarian, okay? He's surrounded by hardcore leftists of the highest order, the educator types and what have you. He's a librarian. He had several Democrats coming up to him going, you know what? Biden was really an asshole last night. This guy, I'm sure, was probably trying to keep from pissing himself in the process of, hearing that news. But case in point, the liberals had all the information to be disseminated. They owned the networks. They owned CNBC. They owned MSNBC. They owned all the polling. And everything else could not be refuted. That changed when Rush Limbaugh came out. That changed when Sean Hannity came out. That changed when Belling came out, Glenn Beck, all these other huge names. Hell, G. Gordon Liddy. I mean, all these guys came out of the woodwork, and they basically inserted a new paradigm of, hey, it's cool and it's okay to listen to different news sourcing. Even if you're not on my side, perhaps you probably should get the whole picture. And that's one of those things that the liberals now are trying to counter. You cannot put the genie back in the bottle. You can't put the baby back in the mother in the delivery room. Once it's happened, it's happened. And we are seeing a major paradigm taking place now. I don't know if it's going to really come to the point of like online voting, where you basically get called at home and, like in Switzerland. In Switzerland, it is very, very protracted. I mean, it is set up in such a way that you have to vote. It's a democracy, call it what you will. Yeah, it's a very armed, very polite, very safe to be there democracy. Very hard to become a citizen, but you are required to vote. If you do not vote, knock, knock, knock. Hello? Yes, Sven Gablanovic, you did not vote. Come with us and vote now. They will escort the guy down to a place, and they will put up a little station for him, and he will walk inside and commit his votes. That's how involved it is in Switzerland. Now, the other thing, too, is in this country, we have voter fraud, and it's going to happen, okay? I mean, the Democrats are absolutely freaking desperate. It is a major power struggle now, not from within, because these guys will never step on each other, even in the worst of cases. Republicans have a really bad standard as if you screw up, you're done. Democrats will say, you've screwed up, you're not done, we're going to protect you until it becomes too politically expedient to throw you to the wolves. And then we're going to try to cover for you every chance possible. It's very one of those, how can I say this without really being just crude, rude, and socially unacceptable? I'm just going to say it, okay? Bill Clinton got a blowjob in the White House and had a skank walking around with a dress covered with his cum and basically stating, I'll get it in a plastic bag and it has your DNA in it. And if I need to, I will show it to everybody and send it out for laboratory testing just to fuck you. That's it in a nutshell. Now, here's the thing, too. Bill Clinton also has a couple of sexual assaults under his belt. He's got a couple of rape charges under his belt. All these things have been put by underneath the carpeting, and it's cool. Bill, you're a good guy. We'll basically stand up for you. The guy lost his bar for 3 years. That basically said that we don't trust you enough to be a scum-sucking lawyer from other scum-sucking lawyers. That's bad. That's really bad. Now, here's the other thing, too. When you come down to it, and when you look at it from what it is to where it's going, Democrats are not doing good. Their fundraising is not exactly low, but they can only source 2% of it. Where's all that money coming from? That's right. It's coming from overseas. These guys from outside areas are trying to intervene and trying to make our politics work for them positively. That's great, but you know what? I know that the classic line is like the blood of politics is money. If you don't have public support and you don't get elected, it doesn't matter how much money you have. Your ass is done. Now, here's the other thing, too. Barack Kaka has, they say he's got $1 billion in the coffers, and he's got all this extra money to play with and all the rest of this happy horse mess. If he doesn't use it for this election, he can keep it for other elections to put other people in. But I'm telling you, folks, it is not looking good for the Democrats right now. We are seeing an entirely new paradigm that they have never, ever faced. They're facing now an information age that is not charitable. And that's something that they just cannot counter. How do you counter, news media basically approaches, the watch audience of all the major news programs is really down. The population for printed media, I think, is down maybe 10-12% at best. You start seeing all these magazines like Time and Newsweek, and they're getting smaller, and they're getting smaller, and they're getting smaller, and they're getting smaller because there's not enough people reading them. So what's going on is they're having to shrink their costs. So they make them thinner, they put less crap in them, they put bigger stories in them and less fluff. And pretty soon it's going to become an online-only magazine like Newsweek just did. Newsweek was actually really big for a long time. Time/Newsweek. I mean, that basically was the partnership. Huge magazines. Now you can't even find a printed version. You can only find it online. Now, here's the kicker. When they become online, just like the Democrat Union, anybody can, anybody can have like 50 different usernames, and that's part of the problem too. Is also that a lot of these things that they really blow up, saying, "Well, we've got X amount of people who, basically Twitter this and Twitter that." There is so many fake Twitters out that are joined up with Barack Obama. It is freaking ridiculous. People have been chasing these guys down, and a lot of these Twitter things, it's owned by, 20 names is owned by one guy. 20, so that's 20 people for one person. So you basically have 20 of those people with 20 names. Looks like a lot of people are now signing on board saying, yeah, Barack Kaka is just the best Kaka. And it's one of those things, man. I mean, when you basically fake numbers, when it comes down to the time of actual election time, they piss in their own pants when they see not positive reviews. Because you know what? You basically can, you could blow it up as much as you want to, and you could try to make it look as great as you want to. But unfortunately, the fact of the matter is, if you've got nothing to offer, nobody's voting for you, you can beat your own drums as loud as you want to, and you're not going to get the votes. Just give me 1 second here. I need another swish of Tiggy goodness. Another swish of Tiggy goodness. With cognac. And here's the other thing, too. I mean, I try to approach this from other angles, and I don't really want to go, okay, chapter and verse, I'm going to sound like everybody else on the interwebs, and I'm going to do everything else exactly like everybody else does on the interwebs, and I'm going to make it basically one of these 45-minute things or 38-minute things and all the rest of this happy horse crap. I don't do that, okay? I mean, basically, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want you sitting around for half an hour for something that's basically audio. What I want to do is I want to do something basically like my namesake, pretty much, like podcast. You basically could have it on your computer. You could have it running in the background. There's nothing really to look at except for maybe like 2 pictures in the whole video, and that's about the long and the short of it. Unless I'm doing like a performance piece or I'm doing like, something prepping or something firearms related or something along those lines, I'm thinking like, podcast, because now I have okay audio equipment and I can make it sound halfway decent without blowing your speakers out, and we can go from there. But the long and the short is basically these liberals, they're operating still in the mindset of where they were back in the 1960s. They are pretty much acting like the screaming Mimi types. We're going to stick flowers in the gun barrels of the guardsmen. We're going to have an Occupy Wall Street type of thing that just blow up in their faces with a glorious boom. I mean, they said, we're going to bring out these huge numbers, and I don't think it ever cracked more than a few thousand people at any one location, and that was like in major liberal, staunch liberal locations. I mean, San Fran, how much more liberal do you get than that? New York City, how much flipping liberal more do you get than that? It is what it is. I mean, these are places that you go when you want to piss away money doing stupid stuff badly. I mean, Bloomberg just banned a 32-ounce soda. You know what? I would be the dickhead that comes up with the 30-ounce cup just to piss with him. That's just how I do stuff, and that's what I would do. But I'm not even stating ideologically whose way is better, but I'm just simply going to say it's becoming glaringly obvious that their way does not work. If you spend 70 cents a dollar on a program, on basically the infrastructure to get the money to it, and then another 20% gets absorbed in the process of giving it to them, so 10% hits them out of every dollar or so. That's not good. That's not good at all. And that's basically the way government works. I mean, I actually had an argument with a liberal before, and he's like, oh no, government is the most effective way of disseminating funds in all the world. And it's like, dude, what planet are you from? Because basically what happens is when you give a dollar bill to the government, it's gone. There is no way. And then they take that dollar. Well, there's an old classic line. A politician never bought a dollar bill he didn't want to burn. And that's it. So essentially what happens is all this money goes into the government. They piss it away. It gets absorbed. They can't even describe where half this money... I mean, they could throw budgets around and GAO numbers and all the rest of this happy horse crap, and it really doesn't play out with the sniff test, okay? It just doesn't work. So when you're looking at their numbers and it looks like total crap, and they say, well, that was great. We spent all that money. We now need more money. That was probably one of the best quotes that Romney had in his whole speech. It was like, you know what? I'm not going to justify a program to keep it in existence, to borrow money from the Chi-Coms to basically fund it. That's it in a nutshell. If you have $50 and you spend $3,000, where's that $29,950 come from? or 29.50. Where's it going to come from? I mean, basically, you need to get it from somewhere. So you're going to tax the crap out of people. Well, that doesn't work because then basically people go, it's not worth it to work my ass off to give 75% to the government. Which, if you look at all the numbers, all the fees, all the fines, and everything else all added up, you do not make 30K a year. You're lucky if you're clearing 18. And that is, my screen went to sleep. And that basically is the long and the short on that one. Is it's one of those unfortunate things. I mean, basically, if you have a case of you're making money like crazy and the taxing you like crazy, you're not going to make money like crazy anymore. You're going to go, you know what? I'm going to shelter this somewhere else. And there is so many people that have lived in other countries to hide their funds and shelter their funds. And of course they're going on with this crap about, well, Romney's hiding his money. It's our money, he's hiding. No, it's his money, assholes. If he decides to take his money out of country and put it someplace else, that is his fucking business. Fuck you. You don't get to stick your fingers in his back pocket and take his cash. That's it in a nutshell. When he decides to take his money that he's earned, well, he earns interest. No. He basically was, a senior member of a company. The company did good. They rewarded him by giving him an ample retirement. That's how government works, to try to take it away from you, and you hide it. That's how government works. Government wants your money. You hide your money. They're mad. Did you know the United States is the only country in the world that taxes you to take your money out of country and take it somewhere else? Yeah. If you were basically doing, okay, let me put this in perspective. If you go down to Costa Rica, which is basically in the middle of Central America, and you walk in there with 50K and you walk into a bank, you put 50K in the bank, you know what you get? You get right then and there, you get a bank booklet stating that you put 50K in the bank. They also go, by the way, here is your paperwork. You are now a citizen of Costa Rica. Thank you so much for investing in our country. That's right. You get a passport and a citizenship card right then and there. Now, the cost of living down there is so much less. I've talked to an active service member that just retired. Where was dude going? He wasn't going down to Florida. He wasn't going out to the Midwest. He was going down to Costa Rica. And I was like, so dude, what's going on down there? He goes, I got myself a house down there that would basically make people in Miami Beach jealous for $300K. I was like, well, hell, that's nice. He goes, yeah, I got a maid. She's about $150 a month. I was like, oh, dude. He goes, yeah, man, I can go down to the market and I can buy groceries for a week for about $35. I was like, you're kidding me. He goes, no, freshest vegetables you'll ever see, freshest fruits, all this other good stuff. All these things are like so much nicer than here. It's fresh grown. It ain't been played with. Monsanto hasn't sprayed their crud on it. And, when it came down to it, I basically crunched the numbers and I said, I'm not staying here. I'm going someplace where I can, basically have a nice retirement. And I was like, so what are you going to do? Go down there, drink and get fat? And he goes, pretty much. And when you have, basically people that think stuff through and they're doing that, why in the world would you ever keep your money here for the government to steal it and piss it away? Why? Because we have chicks screaming about the Obama phone. Oh, because we have people in the inner city and other outreaching areas are basically accepting, EBT, welfare. And I'm not saying everybody is like your stereotypical black chick with 17 kids. I'm saying basically it's some welfare hog that's basically sitting in her, whatever it is, collecting tons of cash, collecting the EBT. All kinds of scandals. They basically buy water, they pour out the water, they return the bottles for 5 cents a throw. They bought a case of water for $7 or $8, and they're basically returning it for 35 cents of free cash. This is your tax dollars at work, and this is what needs to be fixed. The Democrats don't have a clue. They don't have an ability to fix things. This is their voting base. They will never change things up. Now, here's the thing. We now have a chance. We have a golden opportunity. I'm not just saying Mitt Romney, okay? Even if Mitt loses, there's 2 Supreme Court justices that Barack Kaka can stick in there, and that'll truly fuck us for time into memorial. We got to fix things, and we got to think long view. You basically can't go, okay, 4 years, we're great, and, well, even if he sucks, somebody else will be along. It's a lesser of 2 evils. No, you do not have to think along the lines of lesser of 2 evils, okay? Barack Kaka is a known quantity. Romney is basically a guy coming, and I'm a libertarian, okay, folks? Don't even go on with that, conservative Republican bullshit, okay? I'm a libertarian. I'm an in-your-face libertarian, okay? I refer to myself as an anarchist conservative, okay? David Carradine said that in an interview once, and I adopted it. So I'm an anarchist conservative. If you don't like my way, fuck you. That's it. That is my livelihood. That is my life. That is my way of doing stuff. Now, here's the other thing, too. When it comes down to it, we have to think long view. You can't think along the lines, okay, well, this will work great for 2 years, then we'll be able to replace Congress, we'll be able to fix Senate. No, Harry Reid is the motherfucker that is holding up everything in terms of our budget. Right now, we've had in excess of 1,000 days of continuing resolutions. We don't even have a budget right now. What happens is the continuing resolution comes into play, and there's an incremental raise that takes place of X percent. So basically what they're saying is we have the piss it away number, and we're going to add more to that piss it away number. And since we don't have that number, it's going to borrow more from the Chinese. You can't keep doing stuff like that, okay? If you're running at 115% over budget and you don't have the money to support it, the other 15%'s got to come from somewhere. Yeah, that means basically that all this entitlement stuff, all this excessive expenditure, and all this bad spending that's been utilized for frickin' time immemorial to guarantee votes is not going anywhere. And that's the problem. We need to remove these guys as active takers, and we need to make them guys that are actual workers. Now, here's one of the things I would think of and I would throw in their face that nobody is talking about. What we need to do is we need to look at those people who are basically on welfare, all those people on Social Security, and everything along those lines, and we need to basically describe these people as government employees. Now, here's the thing. Even if you have a kid, you probably could find, just give me a bump of the microphone, even if you have a kid, you probably could find yourself somewhere between 15 to 25 hours per week to supply to the public welfare. Now, since it's welfare, you're going to be applying yourself to the public welfare. You know what? That couldn't be a bad thing to do. Basically, if you're eating for free, you need to pay back in for that. Well, you know what? That's one of those things the liberals, I'm bumping everything now, that's one of those things the liberals really seem to like throwing in everybody's face. Community thinking. Well, if you're taking out, you should be putting back in. You know what? Since you're taking out, you should be putting back in. If you're taking out with EBT or welfare and any of the social programs, you should be working some way to pay things back to that society from which you're taking from. Will the Republicans ever say that? No. Will the Democrats ever say that? No. Will anybody ever broach that subject in any public forum to basically state that, you're taking money from the government for doing nothing except sitting on your ass and, since there's no jobs, how can you work? Well, that's very simple. You're now a government fucking employee. Go to work, asshole. That's it. Even if it's something as simple as walking around a park and picking crap up, even if it's something as simple as walking alongside a highway and picking crap up, you know what? It is major culture shock when you go to an area outside of a metropolitan area. And I can tell you, it's freaking culture shock when I went up to Maine the first time. You know what it's like walking through a place that basically has no trash on the side of the roads? Yeah, that's Maine. That's major culture shock when you're from, like New York City, Baltimore, Washington, D.C. area. All these metropolitan places are pretty much just toilets. And when you go to a place like that, it's like pristine, and you're seeing all this lovely green stuff around you, and no crap rattling along the roadside. It's nice. It's really, really nice. So, okay, in this rambling, half-hour podcast from, me basically spouting and spewing and all the rest of that happy horse mess, I'm going to tell you guys probably what we should do and we should maintain as a constant mindset up until the election day of its fruition. Be very proactive on Facebook. Very, very, very proactive on all your social medias. Basically, if anybody, does anything that's like sketchy, like trolling and what have you, and they're obviously a shill for the DNC, just block them. Call them out. Block them. Make sure everybody knows what a piece of crap this guy is. Because trust me, that's the kind of ridicule and public, outing that Democrats have used on us for years. It works. There's been many times now on Facebook when some little peckerhead pops up and starts causing mayhem. He gets his ass handed to him, and it's freaking funny. And then what usually happens is the page owner goes, okay, that was entertaining, but I'm not dealing with his crap any longer, and they're getting booted. That needs to happen, okay? That's the best thing to do possible. Is when these guys act like obnoxious little children, you put them in a room, turn them to the corner, and you make them stand there for a while. Liberals will be liberals until challenged by physical force. Because if you try to meet them, face-to-face with some kind of intellectual exercise, they'll throw everything at you from, you're a racist to you're this, you're a sexist, you're this, that, and the other thing, gay rights, black rights, all the rest. It's crap, it's distraction, and it's really not even anything grounded in reality. That's their namesake. They play the game. don't let them play the game. Boot them out, make sure they're out of power, and when it comes time to vote on November 6th, you better fucking be there, okay? Front up, man up, and better basically act like you got a pair. Because if you don't fix it now, we are fucked. All right, folks, on this rambling diatribe, and I'm going to tell you this is now one of the very rare not safe for work rambling podcast type things, but I wanted to kind of come into play and let you guys know how things are working and how things are looking to me from this side of the camera, and give you guys a heads up on good stuff. Definitely, friend, and check out my Facebook channel. Please, definitely, watch my videos on YouTube if you get a chance, but more so than anything, I am very much more proactive. I don't do Twitter. I don't do Pinterest. I don't do any of those other really seriously, little glitchy kind of Twitter. 140 characters. How much fun can you have with that? Oh, dude, I just saw I ran out of room. It's kind of lame. I'm not going to do that, okay? I'm going to do something where I have a better medium, and that sounds to me like Facebook and YouTube right now. So right now I'm going to crank off on this one, and I thank you so very much for hanging out and listening in. And, well, this is probably one of those kind of, stream of consciousness things that I just can't stop doing. Ugh, good times. All right, so here in the podcast channel, I'm going to tell you, you know what? Eat good. Keep in the tendering. Don't be a dumbass and don't vote. Vote. Good times.